Hello again. We are on chapter 13 of Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. I finally got to ask Connor over as we sat together on the bus that day after school. Turns out we were on the same bus route. Mom had been driving me to and from school, but I didn't see why she needed to keep doing that when the bus would drop me off only a block from Stagecoach Pass. I knew how busy she was with stuff at the park, and I didn't want her to have to stop everything in the middle of the day to pick me up anymore. Is your mom working tonight? I asked Connor. Yeah, she won't be back until early tomorrow morning. Then you're coming over to my house, theme park apartment thingy for dinner. My parents want to meet you. I know you already met my dad briefly, but they want to meet you, like, officially, especially after Steakgate. Connor looked torn. I can come over until dinner, but then I have to go home. I sat up straight. Why? If your mom's working all night, why can't you just stay? He shrugged and blinked his eyes rapidly. Well, maybe I can stay. We'll see. I guess, I said. Connor never ate lunch. He wouldn't eat ice cream with me, and now he didn't want to have dinner at my house. I was beginning to wonder if he was starving himself. I decided to change the subject. So I was thinking about what you said the other day, about how maybe someone, offed the Kavanaughs. I whispered the word oft in case anyone was listening to our conversation. Connor blinked at me. Yeah? I nodded. Yeah, I was thinking we should maybe start considering the possibility that there is a murder at Stagecoach Pass. Again, I whispered the word murder. You can never be too careful when discussing such things. You think someone murdered someone? Who? Connor whispered. Could be anyone. There's this guy at the gold mine. We call him Mean Bob because he's so mean. Maybe he did it. Or maybe the guy who interviewed my parents, Gary the accountant, maybe he did it. Why? To take over the park. Why would anyone want to take over the park? Money, I said. It's always money. How much money do you think the park makes? Connor asked. I actually thought the park made negative money. Okay, maybe not money, I said, and I narrowed my eyes at Connor. Revenge. Revenge for what? I don't know, yet. But I'm going to solve this great mystery all on my own. If you would like to assist me, you shall do so, sir. Okay, Connor said, not quite the enthusiasm or the British accent I had been going for. In my mind, great detectives always had British accents. We should go back to the storage shed. But there's nothing in there except paper you can barely read and old props and junk. Yeah, but maybe there's something hidden there. Why else would they have all those signs? That's true, Connor nodded. I tapped my feet on the bus floor. I've never had an exciting mystery to solve. Well, except for that one time I woke up one morning with every inch of my hair, body, and bed covered in chocolate. Why? A Hershey Kiss fell out of my backpack into my bed. I rolled around on it all night, and that's what that's what it did. Can you believe it? A Hershey Kiss? Connor didn't seem that impressed with my Hershey Kiss story. Maybe you should ask Madame Myrtle about it, he said. Shouldn't a psychic know about that kind of stuff? Can't they, talk to dead people and stuff? Nah, she just reads palms, I said. Obviously, that's not very helpful for me. Connor smiled. You shan't worry. He raised a finger in the air. We shall solve this highly mysterious mystery ourselves. I was so glad he used a terrible British accent that time. Chapter 14. My parents weren't in the apartment when Connor and I got there. You want a snack? I asked him as we entered the tiny kitchen. No, thanks. I'm not really hungry. How can you not be hungry when you didn't even eat lunch? I'm just not. Fine. I opened a lower cabinet with my foot and took out a bag of pretzels. You want a soda? No. I sighed in hope that he didn't die of dehydration. It was still in the 90s outside. We made our way to the small living room where Connor spotted my guitar in the corner. Is that your guitar? Yep, I said, opening the TV cabinet with my foot. Will you play for me? I can't wait to see how you play it with your feet. Maybe another day. I'm kind of out of practice right now. That wasn't exactly true. I felt shy about it, like I needed to prepare before I performed for him, if I ever would perform for him. I still hadn't made up my mind. Promise? Connor said. I'll play for you sometime, just not right now. Connor turned his attention to the row of video games in the cabinet. You got some good ones in here. My dad likes to play. They're mostly his games. Your dad's cool, Connor said, clearly impressed with my dad's immaturity. He pulled out an ultra-violent war game. Let's play this. I shook my head. Not allowed. For Dad only. Connor frowned, put the game back in the cabinet, and pulled out another game I wasn't allowed to play. I'm not allowed to play any game with a disclaimer on the cover. I walked to the cabinet and pulled out a racing game. Let's play this one. I guess. Connor let out a dramatic sigh, clearly disappointed that we wouldn't get to battle each other to our bloody virtual deaths. I'm better at games where I can mostly use the joystick, I said to Connor. That's good, because you'll need every advantage to beat me. We played for a couple hours. I don't think Connor expected me to be such a good player. Yeah, he did beat me a lot, but I gave him a good fight and even won a couple races myself. I think I played worse than normal because Connor ticked a lot while we played, and it distracted me. I guess the ticks probably make it far harder for him to play as well. I thought about him at home playing video games all night by himself, ticking badly. Maybe it wasn't good for him to spend all his free time doing that. I felt like I was starting to understand Connor's tics, what made them worse and what made them better. Definitely when Connor was stressed or excited about anything, his tics got worse. When he felt calm and comfortable, they weren't so bad. I guess video games really worked him up. Mom walked in the door just as we were putting the games away. You absolutely would not believe what Bob did now, she said as she threw her hat on the kitchen table. I looked at Connor and whispered, in a Dracula accent for some reason, "Murdered someone?" He giggled. She walked into the living room and saw Connor. This must be Connor. She reached out her hand to shake his. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Green. I could tell Connor was trying to hold his tics in. Nice to meet you, Mom said. Connor let out a loud bark and Mom jumped back. Oh my, she giggled. That was interesting. Connor has Tourette syndrome, I reminded her. Oh, that's right. Don't look so nervous, honey. Mom touched Connor's arm to put him at ease. It'll only make your tics worse. I looked at her in surprise. How do you know about Tourette's? Haven, I was a psych major in college. Of course I know about Tourette's. You were a psych major in college? I said. What's that? Psychology. Don't you ever listen to me when I talk? No, I joked, because you usually talk about boring old people stuff. Mom grabbed me and ran her knuckles over my head, messing up my hair. Ouch, I said, wriggling away. All right, I'm going to get dinner started. Will you two do me a favor and run over to the gold mine and fire Bob? I smiled, but Connor looked grave. Thank you, Mrs. Green, but I'm not staying for dinner. Yes, you are, I said. Your mom's working. What are you going to eat for dinner if you don't eat with us? Connor froze, like he had no idea what to say to that. I'll eat cereal? That's unacceptable, Mom said. You're eating with us. Then I'll take you home after dinner since your mom's working. Connor appeared absolutely terrified at the thought. No, really, I like cereal. Why won't you eat, Connor? Are you anorexic? He seemed to relax a little bit and laughed. No, I'm not anorexic. I just... What? I nearly shouted. I'm your friend, Connor. Tell me. Sometimes I spit when I eat. Connor's cheeks went bright red as he shrugged and blinked his eyes rapidly. I spit food at people. Mom gave Connor an understanding smile. That's not uncommon. We'll all wear rain gear at dinner tonight. And with that, she opened a cabinet and started pulling out potatoes. Connor looked at me. I hope you have face masks, too. I kicked at his shoe. See, it's no big deal. We know you can't help it. Connor's expression changed. I wish my parents were as understanding as yours. It got to the point at home that neither of them wanted to eat with me anymore. My dad would yell at me for spitting, and that would make it worse. Now I just eat in my room by myself. My mom's hardly ever around, so it doesn't really matter anyway. It matters, I said. It matters a lot. As we were setting the table for dinner, Dad walked in. I think that old llama might have to be put down, he said sadly. My head shot up. What? No, not spaghetti. Mom and Dad both gave me a funny look. I shrugged. We have a special connection. I looked at Connor. We're X-Men, I said softly. I'm sorry, honey, but he's old. He's like 22 years old. Dennis said he hardly has eaten in 2 days, and that thing growing out the side of his head, well, it just can't be comfortable. I'll nurse him back to health, I insisted. I'm not sure that's possible at this age, Dad said. Anyway, let's talk about it later. The vet's coming over tomorrow. We'll see how he does over the next few days. By the time we all sat down at the table together, I didn't have much appetite. I kept thinking about poor spaghetti. I looked at Connor. I could tell he was hesitant to take a bite of his pork chop. It's okay, Connor, Dad said. We're all prepared. Dad lifted something off his lap. Ski goggles. He slipped them over his eyes. No worries. David! Mom cried, punching Dad in the arm. That's terrible. Connor laughed, and it seemed to put him at ease, and he finally took a bite of his mashed potatoes. Don't worry, Mom said. Everything is non-staining. I glared at Dad. Of all the things we had to get rid of, and you brought ski goggles to Arizona? They were like $80, he defended himself. So, Connor, what are you interested? I mean, besides pulling morbid pranks with my daughter and scaring our visitors away. You might want to rethink hanging out with her. She's a really bad influence. And you have terrible sideburns, I said, unable to come up with anything better. He really did have bad sideburns. They were horribly uneven. Dad ignored me. So, I like movies, Connor said. I have a huge movie collection at home. Oh, why don't I take you guys to the movies this weekend, Mom said, clearly thrilled that I'd made a friend. Connor looked appalled and shrunk down in his seat. He shook his head rapidly. No movie theaters. You don't go to the movies? No way. I only went once since my tic started a few years ago, and that was not a fun experience. What happened? I asked. People complained, of course. No one wants to listen to a dog barking while they're trying to watch a movie. That's messed up, I said. People are so rude. They're not rude, Connor said. They don't know I have Tourette's, so that's what makes it embarrassing. I scrunched up my nose. You should wear a t-shirt that says, I have Tourette's on it everywhere you go. Then people will leave you alone. Yeah, maybe you could make me that one, Avon. Then he kicked me under the table gently. Should we tell him? He whispered. Tell us what? Mom said. I gave my parents a highly serious look. We think there may be a murderer at Stagecoach Pass. Dad coughed and choked on his mouthful of pork chop. Mom slapped him in the back while he hacked his food into his napkin. When he could finally breathe, he gasped, What? Why would you think such a thing? We updated Mom and Dad on our theories about the Kavanaughs. Avon, Mom said, just because people are secretive doesn't mean they've been murdered. I have to admit, Sheebs, you haven't exactly presented the most convincing evidence. Some people just really value their privacy, Mom added. I nodded at them like I agreed, but Connor and I gave each other a knowing look. Yeah, right. Like we're going to let it go that easily. Then Connor looked from me to my parents and back again. So where does Avon get her red hair? I'm adopted, Connor. Oh, that's cool. It's so cool, said Mom. I rolled my eyes. Here she goes. She loves telling people about my adoption. Connor looked at Mom with interest, so she took that as her cue to tell the story for the millionth time. Well, she began, Avon's dad and I couldn't have a baby, so we figured we'd end up adopting one. I started reading a lot about adoption online. Then one day I went on this website, and there was a tab that said, Kids in Need of a Forever Family, so I clicked it. I scrolled down until I saw it, the most precious little angel baby face I've ever seen in my entire life. I knew the moment I saw her that she was my daughter, with those chubby pink cheeks and bright red mop of hair. She'd never seen such a precious, beautiful, amazing, brilliant, intelligent child, I said. Connor raised an eyebrow at me. I may be embellishing a little. No, she's not at all, Mom said. I knew right at that moment I saw her that I was looking into the face of my daughter. It was like she was born for me right in the moment. Some women birth babies through their you-know-whats, but I birthed Avon through the computer that day. Mom, that is the worst part of the story. Really, Laura, Dad said, it's the worst. It's just awful. She glared at Dad before returning to her story. Anyway, right below her picture, it said Avon, 2 years old. I couldn't believe she was 2 years old and hadn't been adopted yet. Yeah, she didn't realize she was on an adoption website for children with special needs, I said. So I clicked on her picture, and that's when I saw she didn't have arms. And it didn't really matter. She wanted me anyway, I said. Mom gave me her gushy love face, so I broke the news to her dad that night. Yeah, Dad said. She told me my future daughter was a beautiful redhead. Oh, and also that she didn't have arms. How did you feel about it? Connor asked. Well, I was surprised, of course, but once I saw her, I agreed wholeheartedly. She was our daughter. Dad gave me his own version of the gushy love face. We did a lot of research before we got Avon, so we could give her the best care. Connor, there are a lot of amazing people in the world who don't have arms. Okay, I'm going to stop there.